shit. Did you see that guy?
So I'm just gonna quickly summarize just the most important tips that you need to follow. So number one is, if you're gonna rent a scooter in Bali, you need to watch this. I'm gonna give you some tips on how to ride safely and how to avoid some mistakes that people keep making and getting them into accidents. I've got a couple 100,000 kilometers of riding under my belt, and I've ridden these roads, and to be honest, they're not what tourists are normally used to, but there's a way to it, and I'm going to explain. So I'm going to take you on the bike with me, and I'm going to give you some tips for you to follow to avoid a crash. And there is one that's non-negotiable, like you have to do it, especially with how busy these roads are. But yeah, I'm going to take you on the bike with me shortly. But first, let me show you where I'm staying. So I'm currently in Uluwatu, and it's a very nature-esque place, kind of away from everybody. As you can see, we're in the middle of the jungle. It's beautiful. It's a nice place to work and zone out and stuff and focus, but it's also not so far away that I can't access anything. So because I do have a bike, I'm able to get around. However, getting here, the roads are bumpy, and I'm gonna show you now. But yeah, I'll see you on the bike, and I'll see you with the GoPro, and hopefully the audio is gonna be all right, and you're gonna be able to hear me. Otherwise, I'll just do a voiceover, so it's gonna work out regardless. Okay, here we are at the bike, and there's one tip in this video that is absolutely non-negotiable. So if you do this just one thing, you probably reduce any sort of risk by a very large margin. So yeah, you must do that, you know, because a lot of people make that mistake and they get into a crash. And it's something that almost got me in the past as well. Yeah, we'll get out onto the road now, and I'll tell you exactly what to do to avoid any sort of crashes or bad mistakes. All right, since we're here, I'm gonna tell you one of the first tips, and that is watch the road surfaces. As you can see, this is very bumpy, and this bike is not designed for it. I'm actually standing up. So the reason why you need to watch out is, especially for some potholes like this, is because if you hit them too fast, you can flip your bike over, or it could even like puncture your tire. So yeah, watch where you're going, make sure you don't hit anything too deep. Just take your time, go around it, you know. And also avoid braking hard when you're hitting a pothole. Oh shit, you can see that guy? Because if you brake, especially with your front, I know on mopeds and scooters usually it's just one brake, I think. But if you're braking while you're hitting a pothole, you have a high chance of, again, like the bike will just flip, your front wheel will lock out, and it won't be good for anybody. But yeah, we'll take it nice and easy, get into a busier area, and I'll give you one of the most important tips that you need to do. So first of all, when you're riding, maintain your lane. So no sudden changes. That way you're predictable. Like, it looks chaotic here on the road, but there's a flow to it, and there's a method to the madness. So all the locals, they know how to ride. They're used to this. In fact, it's actually the tourists you probably have to watch out for. Especially when it's busy, you don't want to make sudden changes. You want to be as predictable as possible. So even though there's going to be a lot of traffic around you, everything's going to be flowing. All right? And if you are going to be changing direction, indicate early and then change. So this is very important, especially this is very light traffic right now, and I was in Canggu before, and you know, there'll be like 3 or 4 people beside me, overtaking me, undertaking me. Like, you have to check everywhere, like check to your left, to your right, fucking even under you and above you, to see if there's someone overtaking you from above, you know. And finally, the most important tip I'm going to give you is, if you're changing lanes or if you're changing direction, you have to check your blind spot. So it's not very applicable at the moment because we're not in a very busy area, but you always assume that there's someone beside you,
until you confirm that there is not. So never change direction. So what you do is, first thing you do is, let's say I want to change a little bit to the right or overtake somebody. What I do is I check my mirror and then I do a shoulder check. So it's actually called a lifesaver look, and this is something every biker does. And I'll explain to you why now. It's because you might think, oh, what about the mirror? Isn't the mirror enough? Well, it's not. So, and this is especially important here and in busier areas, because there's usually somebody beside you or is about to be beside you. Because so when you check your mirror, you see almost everything. But if someone is right next to you, like right on your shoulder, they will not be in your mirror. And that's why you do the shoulder check. We're gonna go to the right here. Yeah, so again, before you turn, you check the mirror, you check over your shoulder, and then you turn. Of course, you indicate before that. Yeah. Okay, now we're getting to a busier spot, as you can see, so I'm able to demonstrate better. And of course, another tip, if you're following somebody, so like this bike has good brakes, so I can follow pretty close and not worry about it because I'm used to it. Like I'm good at emergency braking and stuff because I've been riding for so long. But I know scooters, you know, these mopeds, they don't have the best brakes in the world. They're much smaller brake calipers, much smaller brake pads. It's not your fault, it's just the way the bikes are. So if you're going behind somebody, maintain a healthy amount of distance. Alright? So if you need to brake, you have the time to brake without rear-ending anybody. And especially if your bike doesn't have ABS, and ABS stops your wheels from locking up, and you need to brake hard, you will end up locking your wheels, locking up. And if you lock up your front, which will happen in that situation, you're going to fly off the bike. It happens every single time. There's no way to save it. Like on this bike, the front and the rear brake is separate, so I'm able to brake with the rear, and I usually do a lot of the time, but most of the braking happens with the front. But if you need to brake hard, which sometimes happens if you take your focus off the road and then you look back to the front, and all of a sudden you need to brake really hard because the person in front of you is stopping, make sure there's a safe amount of distance. As you can see, there's people flying to my right. I check my mirror, there's a guy there, and if I want to change lanes, I indicate to the right, and then I go right after checking over my shoulder. There you go, overtake.
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick voiceover now, and I'll keep it brief because the audio wasn't so great when it got quite noisy in the busier areas. As you can see here, whenever you're leaving a petrol station or an intersection, you kind of have to force your way through, especially if there's no traffic light. But do it very cautiously, look around, move out slowly, and show your intent that you're trying to go through the intersection. Most people will just stop and let you through. It's a very respectful way here on the road. It looks chaotic, but everyone respects each other and lets each other through and maintains some discipline. Also, this is another very important tip. When you're driving in the lane, you'll notice oftentimes, especially when it's very busy, it's going to be a lot of mopeds, a lot of scooters, and they're going to create two separate lanes within the main lane. So technically, yes, you can be wherever you want in that lane, but where you should be is either to the left or to the right in one of those single file scooter lines. And if you're a nervous person, if you're a nervous driver, stick to the one on the left. And this is because you have the traffic coming from the other direction, and you're gonna encounter this a lot, where there's gonna be people overtaking, coming in the opposite direction, and they're gonna end up in your lane, and it's gonna look like they're coming head on to you. So stick to the left, take your time and drive cautiously. But yeah, maintain your position. That way you're also very predictable, because that's also what everybody else is doing. So that's why it looks crazy, it looks chaotic, but there's actually an order on the road. Assume you're invisible, so don't trust anybody on the road. Assume that nobody sees you, no car sees you, no scooter sees you, so drive quite defensively. So especially, let's say, if you're right alongside a car, it's just like a bike. If you're right beside it, you're not going to be visible in that car's mirror. So try not to hang around for too long if beside a truck, especially, or beside a car, because if you're right under their mirror, they cannot see you. So they'll have to check manually, and a lot of people here, they just turn if they want to turn. And if you're there, it's not going to end too well. But I believe because of how crazy it is, most people do look because they assume that there is somebody there. But just for your own safety, don't hang around people's blind spots for too long, whether it's a moped or it's a car. Also, especially if you're inexperienced, avoid riding stressed or tired. Because if you're new to riding, a lot of your focus is on the bike, so you don't have full observation. So you think you're going to fall or you're going to lose balance, which doesn't happen because the bike wants to keep itself upright. So if you're stressed or tired on top of that, you're not going to have the necessary capacity to observe what's going on around you, which is so important for these kind of roads where you have so much going on, where you have potholes, where you have people coming out from every direction, overtaking you, undertaking you, flying above you, flying under you. You know, there might be a Grab driver, just, you know, 2 or 3 of them overtaking you from above. So, you know, make sure you're in a clear head, you're not too stressed, not too tired, get on the road, enjoy, and be safe. And one bonus tip I'm gonna give you is, I was recommended by the rental company, especially if you're renting a bigger capacity bike, go to these big main petrol stations. You know, with the fuel pumps and everything, you'll notice there's a lot of stands on the sides of the road that are selling fuel, but I've been told a lot of them mix the petrol with water. So if you just for the sake of the engine, I would recommend going to big petrol stations that are reputable, so you don't get bad fuel, potentially engine problems. And all you do is go there, you queue. You'll notice there's always a queue, one separate for cars, another one for the bikes. You just queue with the bikes. You'll have two main options, which are Petrolite and Petromax. So because I have a bigger bike with a sporty engine, I've been told go for Petromax. But I believe if you're riding a scooter, Petrolite is perfectly fine, and it's also a little bit cheaper. But yeah, the most important thing from that is to get it from reputable petrol stations. So I'm just gonna quickly summarize just the most important tips that you need to follow. So number 1 is maintain your position on the road. Don't change lanes suddenly, be predictable. So if you see two lines of scooters, stick to one. And if you're pretty nervous, or if you just want to be more relaxed, stick to the one on the left. So yeah, you avoid having to deal with the overtaking cars coming in the opposite direction, or overtaking bikes that look like they're going to go head on with you. If you're behind somebody, especially on a scooter, if you're on a scooter, give yourself enough distance to brake comfortably. You know, keep your eyes on the road, keep your eyes ahead, but they might have to suddenly stop because someone else is coming out of the side, which happens often. And if they suddenly stop, you want to be able to comfortably brake without panic braking and pulling on the brake lever and then maybe locking up your wheels. And if you lock up your front wheel, you're off the bike. There's no way to save that in any situation, unless you're going like 2 kilometers an hour, then you probably won't fall off. But I'm talking about being in traffic. When turning, let's say you're within your lane and you want to change position to the right or left, you check your mirror and then you just peek over your shoulder very quickly, just to make sure that there's nobody beside you, because if someone is right beside you, they're not going to be visible in your mirror. And that's just a standard thing every biker knows and learns. And especially when you're riding with other bikes, this is something you do, and it's something you cannot really skip on, because you know, it's not like a car where you're just going to tap the person and it's going to be some scratches. If you turn into somebody on a bike, you're both going to be off that bike, and it's going to be, you know, some health repercussions and damages and stuff, and you don't want to play around with that. So this is the most important tip. If you're changing direction, try not to change direction suddenly ever, indicate. But if you do change direction, check your mirror and check over your shoulder. You don't have to turn your head that far, but as far as your chin touching your shoulder. But for me, even I don't do that, because I turn it a certain amount and then I move my eyes to the right or left and I can see my blind spot entirely. And finally, assume you're invisible. So this is called defensive riding. So assume that everyone ahead of you or behind you is going to make a poor decision and they don't see you. That's usually not the case 99% of the time. People see you, people are aware, but that 1% can be very costly for you. So assume that, that car is going to pull out in front of you, that person in front of you is going to cut your line off. So that's why you allow enough distance, you don't speed, you don't go too fast, and you're safe about it, So yeah, I wanted to keep the voiceover brief, but these are the main things you need to do when riding on the roads here in Bali. Yeah, be safe, enjoy, there's some beautiful roads. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Sorry for the poor audio earlier, and I'm gonna try to figure out a mic that I can wear while I'm riding so it's nice and crisp.